was on the bench. First I was renting, now I'm collecting rent.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video of PJ Codes. Now in this video, we're going to talk about style sheets. It's a very important concept. It's a very important aspect of styling a website because, well, we'll get into those reasons. But in this video, we're going to talk about what a style sheet is, why we need it, what goes inside it, and the importance of separation of concerns, right? So with that being said, let's begin. But before we do, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with all your friends. Okay, so what exactly is a style sheet? Now, a style sheet is just a document, just like we have an HTML file. A style sheet is a CSS file where we write all our CSS for our entire website, right? And basically in that style sheet, we have all the CSS commands you need to style every section of your site, all the fonts, all the fancy structures, everything. Basically all the styles go inside that one style sheet. And basically what you can do is you can just import that style sheet into the head tag of your HTML, and that's how we write. That's how we import our CSS styles into our HTML. And this is something that is very important because we want to separate our concerns, right? We want to write our HTML in our HTML file. We want to write our CSS in our CSS files. This is where we're separating it, keeping it clean, and say, you know, down the road, if there's something that needs to be debugged, if there's a styling issue somewhere, we can easily just go to our CSS style sheet and just debug from that style sheet directly. Now, why do we need a style sheet? That's a good question, right? Just imagine writing all your styles for your entire website inside that one HTML file as a part of all your structure, all your HTML code. Imagine writing those styles in line, at the HTML element level. Think about how messy that could get. Imagine how jumbled up and hard to debug that would be, right? Like I mentioned before, we want to strive for a good separation of concerns. That's why in a style sheet, we have all the styles for your website, for each and every page. And you can also have media queries. So basically, media queries is something that we're going to get into down the road. It's a little bit more involved, but in a nutshell, media queries are styles for mobile responsiveness, right? So you build your website, you're building it and you're viewing it in the browser. We also want to keep in mind mobile first. Over 70%, give or take, of all website users, they're all going to look at your website on a mobile phone first. So you want to always strive for mobile first, and that's where media queries come in. But for now, let's just keep it simple, let's keep it basic, and we'll get into media queries down the road. Okay? But now, before we even begin, before we even begin writing the code, let's get into something known as the box model, inline elements, and block level elements. All right, so with that being said, let's just dive right into the code, and I'll see you guys at the end. All right, guys, so let's get into the box model. It's very simple, very straightforward, and basic to understand. Now, the box model, you're looking at it, is basically just a representation of an HTML element here that has some spacing within it or around it, right? So for example, let's say this guy here, this is our HTML element with the big black border here, and inside that we have our content, and then you're going to notice some green area where it says padding. Now padding is just space, and so is margin. Okay, so say for example that this guy here is an image tag, or maybe a paragraph tag, or a heading tag. Basically what that means is our element here just has some spacing here called padding within the border and the content itself. Think of padding as internal space within the margin, within the context of the actual element itself. And that'll make more sense once we actually get to a code example, but just think of padding as internal space. And likewise, margin is just spacing outside of an element on all four sides. Okay, so say our image tag has a margin of, let's say 20 pixels. What that's going to mean is on each side of our element, outside, on all four sides, we have 20 pixels of space on the top, on the bottom, on the left, and on the right. Okay, so margin is just space, and padding is just space as well. Okay, and padding is the same as margin, but padding is just internal space, and margin is external space outside of an element. And we can add, say, 2 pixels of padding, or we can add 20 or 40, and we can get into the different sizes. And this will make more sense once you see a code example, but you know, just take it for what it is at this moment, and that's really all it is. It's just spacing, guys. All right, guys, so now let's get into style sheets. So now, last time we had a little web page here, and what we did is we included all these styles. We wrote all these styles here in the head tag of our HTML document, along with some inline styles. Now, if just imagine if we were to add all these styles for the entire website inside this HTML doc for each and every element. Say we styled inline for each and every one of these, and just imagine how messy that would be, right? So now what we're going to do is I've created a new style sheet here in the same directory called styles.css, and make sure that you have the .css extension. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy my styles over, and let's just get rid of this guy. All right, now I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to refresh. All right, so now our styles are gone. Okay, and now we're going to put these inside our style sheet. I'm going to paste them in here. Okay, let's backtrack. And for those of you who don't know what I just did Shift and Tab, and that helps you backspace. All right, so now I'm going to hit save. I'm going to go back to the browser, hit refresh. Oh wait, the styles aren't there yet. Why? Because we didn't import it. So now in our head tag, let's do link, and this is how you import a style sheet. Let's do link. All right, let's hit enter. And now, since our style sheet is in the same directory, we're just going to do /styles.css, which is the name of our style sheet. Okay, this is how you link the CSS file. Let's add a comment here, CSS file. All right, I'm going to hit shift and question mark, or shift and slash to add a comment, and I'm going to hit save. Now when we go back, bam, look, our styles are there because we imported our style sheet. Okay, and now just to show you guys, I'm going to go into something called the network tab. All right, I'm going to hit refresh, and now look, we have our style sheet that loaded. Okay, there we go. Let's go back, and cool. So now say we want to add some, say we want to get rid of all these styles. Okay, let's get rid of this guy, this guy, this guy. Let's get rid of all our inline styles. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys how to style all this through the style sheet. Okay, let's hit save. Let's get rid of this guy. I want to go back to 0 styles. No styles in the HTML file. Okay, let's hit save. Let's go back, and okay, so now you see how we're back to the styles that only we have inside our style sheet, right? So let's say for our nav here, we want to go back to that orange color, right? So what we're going to do is right here, we're going to say nav. We're going to type in nav space curly brace, and we want to do background color orange red. Okay, it was followed by semicolon. Let's hit save. Let's go back, hit refresh, and there we go. Okay, and now we want the unordered list inside our nav element to have 0 padding. Okay, 0 padding and margin. All right, so let's do nav space ul, and this is just saying, okay, inside our nav element, we look for a ul element, which is an unordered list, and we denote that by the space here. Okay, inside our nav element, we're going to target our unordered list, and we're going to say padding 0. So remember, padding is the internal space, and margin, which is the external space. All right, so we're going to hit save. Let's go back, and now we have actually, you know what, let's leave the margin, or no, the padding, excuse me. All right, so we've left the padding, okay, and everything's there. And now let's what we can do is for each list item inside our nav, we want to make them display inline block, right? display inline block, which again just means we want to display them in one line. Okay, so just like we targeted our unordered list, we're going to say nav. Inside our nav space, we have an unordered list which has some list items, and we want to target those, each and every one of those list items. All right, so we're going to do space, curly brace, and want to say for each one of those list items, we're going to display inline block. Okay, and now this is going to target every list item inside our unordered list, which is inside our nav. Okay, let's hit save, go back. There we go. Okay, and then we can even give it some padding. So let's say padding right. Let's give it some padding right. Let's do 20 pixels. Okay, let's hit semicolon, hit save. Let's go back to the browser, hit refresh, and there you go. Okay, so now we added some padding. Okay, now after that, what we can do is we can port over some more styles. What else did we miss? Okay, we can add some color to, let's say, the featured articles section. All right, let's add some styles here. Let's ID featured article. All right, so we're gonna add an ID to that section here. Let's copy that ID, save, and now let's do featured article section. Now let's put some spacing here. All right, oh, so this is how we target an ID again. Do hashtag, paste, space with a curly brace, and let's give it a background color of yellow. Let's hit save. Let's go back, and there we go. That's not a good color combo, but I dig it. Okay, and then let's style our button here as well. Okay, so now inside our featured article section, we have a button here. So how are we going to target that, right? So we would just do the ID of the parent, right? Inside which we have a button. Okay, and then for the button we can say background color none. We can do border. Actually, you know what? Let's do background color black 000, and that stands for black. Let's do border 1 pixels solid, and we'll do black as well. Okay, and then we can give it a border radius of 5 pixels. Let's change the color of the text to black as well. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll do black. Okay, and let's see how that looks. Let's hit save. Let's go back. Oh, background. That's why the color should be white. All right, there we go. Now you see, notice how we go over it, and it doesn't. We still have the arrow. Let's say we want to make this a little bit more user friendly. So let's do cursor pointer, and what this is going to do is when you hover over it, you see how it changes. That gives it a better user experience. And now we'll add some padding inside this button. Okay, so this guy here, this is the border, and the read mode, the button itself is the content. So what we want to do is between the border and the content, we want to add some space. So we're going to do some padding. Okay, so let's do padding, not padding right, and you can target padding individually as well. So let's do padding. Let's do 10 pixels on the top, and let's do 15 pixels on the left and right. So when you do padding or margin, the syntax goes as follows. This is actually a shorthand. The first digit stands for the top, for the top and the bottom, and the second stands for the left and the right. Okay, this is similar to saying top, right, bottom, and left. TRBL. Okay, TRBL. Oh, there we go. Top right, bottom left. Okay, there we go. We can shrink it on the top a little bit. Top, let's do 8. Let's do 8 as well. Perfect. All right, it's a little better now. And then this guy here, we can take care of that. We had this as a p tag. All right, so now Since we have this as a p tag, let's make this a little bold, right? So this is our featured article p tag. You know what, we can actually make this an h1 as well. It's okay to have multiple h1s actually. Okay, as long as you know if they follow the proper order, you should be fine. Okay, so let's do that, and that's good. Alright folks, and now let's talk about the last thing, inline elements versus block level elements. So block level elements are just basically what you see here, like the nav. You see we have the sections, we have the divs. Those are block level elements because they stand you know, by themselves on a single line. Okay, because these elements are wide enough by default. They're wide enough to be 100% width of the screen. Okay, and inline elements are things like span tags, button tags. You know, for example, let's say if we were to give this guy here a span tag, and a span is an inline element. Now when you just hit save and you go back, you're not going to see anything, right? But if we were to just do an inline style here real quick, just to kind of demonstrate, let's do background color, sky blue. Let's save, go back. There we go. Now this is an example of an inline element, which is you know, like an A tag, a button, you know, a span tag. These things can be inline to other content. That's why they're called inline elements. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, definitely reach out to me in the comment section, or just please, you know, feel free to send me a message, and I'll love to answer any questions. Thanks guys, catch you guys in the next video. Alright guys, well I hope this helped. I hope you really understood and got a good grasp of what inline elements are, block level elements are, along with the box model, and I hope you understood the very important concepts and commands of CSS, crucial to styling a website. But before you go, definitely like, subscribe, and share this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
Now I'm in the game, I was on the bench. First I was renting, now I'm collecting.